Hare Krishna. Namaste. Chapter 6, entitled as Dhyana Yoga. Sloka 26. Yato niścalati manaś cañcalam asthiram tatas tato niyamyaitad ātmany vaśaṁ nayet. If one wants to steal or cheat others, yato niścalati, by all means one should do it. Tatas tato niyamyaitad. Maybe this is what Krishna is explaining here. Control the mind by letting it go in its direction. Let them eat whatever they want, let them do whatever they want and try to control. Well, that's not the recommendation, and that's not even going to be possible. And that's not the meaning of this sloka. If this is not taken in a proper sense, this meaning of the sloka is not taken correctly, the mind will not come under the control at all. It will become more uncontrollable. So what does it mean when Krishna says control the mind by letting them the way they go? Yato niścalati tatas tato niyamyaitad. One can engage in eating, gambling, stealing, engagement with opposite gender for pleasure. All those things are not good. But if one still wants to be engaged in those activities, which cannot be avoided, they can still do it. That's not an issue. Well, this is a very interesting point, because is that what Krishna says here? If he says, then we all like Bhagavad Gita, because that's what many wants to do. But let's see and understand this again properly. If someone wants to eat, eating is not a bad habit, something to be given up. Let them eat, but then eat the food which is sattvic, which are prasadam. By explaining to the mind the problems of eating food which is not sattvic, by explaining the consumption of food which are not prasadam, which are not offered to the Lord, that has to be explained. The good and bad behind this. If one wants to engage in gambling, then one can do so. Not an issue. But that gambling activity or connection or relation to a woman or stealing others should lead one to attain the self-realization or Paramatma realization, to attain moksha. How is that possible? By gambling, doing these sort of activities, one can attain moksha. It is said in Chanakya Niti that Prataha Dyuta Prasangena Madhyane Stri Prasangataha Ratro Chaura Prasangena Kalo Gachanti Dhimatham. It is said if one wants to engage in gambling, one should do it in the morning time. If one wants to engage with some relation with women, one should do in the afternoon. If one wants to steal something, others' property, they should engage in the night time. If you do so, then you will attain moksha. Well, very, very nice program. But there are details to it. If one wants to engage in gambling, one should read Bharatam, Mahabharat, where Pandavas and Kauravas played the dice game, and what was the result because of that. This has to be read in the morning time. Mahabharata should be read in the morning time for those who are interested in gambling every day. If one is interested in having connection with others' wife, other woman, outside the marriage life. Then in the afternoon, they should read Ramayana. What happened to Ravana by his desire towards other women? By doing so, one has to know there is a hell which has been waiting for such people. In those hell, these people will be forced to embrace woman made of copper and which is red hot. They will be forced to embrace such things. If one wants to steal, then one has to read Bhagavatam in the night, where one learns the pastimes of Krishna, how Krishna stole butter, how Krishna stole the garments of the gopis, and so forth. In that way, our heart will be stolen by the Supreme Lord. When it's been stolen by the Supreme Lord, then our attraction to anything else will go away. Therefore, if one does these things on a daily basis, it says one will attain moksha. Whereas one does these things in a different way, then they will go to hell. It is said one who controls the mind are called Goswamis, and one is controlled by the mind are called Godhasa. Go means many meanings. Here in this context, go means senses. One who are able to control the senses, Swami means master. One who are able to control the senses becomes the master of the senses. Whereas one becomes controlled by the senses, they are the slaves of the senses. Krishna has another name called Rishikesha, or the supreme owner of the senses. Therefore, by serving Krishna, one sense get purified. In this way, one can bring the senses under control. And that is the highest perfection of the yoga practice. To summarize, the mind is flickering. Instead of resting on the self, Atma, induced by the sense object, tries to reach out to them through the indriyas, the senses. By contemplating on the defects on these objects and by focusing on the greatness that one can attain through the self, the mind should be turned away from the sense matter and made to remain in the self alone. So, what are the bad things by engaging into the sensual pleasure through the sense object? What are the benefits that one gets by being away from that and focusing on self? And this is what needs to be done. Yato niścalati manaś cañcalam asthiram tato niyamyaitad ātmany vaśaṁ nayet. Namaste. Hare Krishna.